fan.
My cabbages!
Low, man.
Oh, my cabbages!
What is up, everybody? It's your boy Andrew Esquire. Good evening, good morning, good night, wherever you are. It's the Legal Mindset. We teach you to be your own judge. And we have a good live today where I actually have an update. So my fast facts I recorded earlier today, and it didn't have the information that I wanted to give you. It's very short today. We don't have a lot, but it's very interesting in terms of these last minute apologies. So when I recorded my fast facts, we had one official apology. Now we technically have two. And I'm going to explain to you the new one we got just now, just today, brand new news. So we'll get all that out to you guys today. Hopefully everything is all right. So, okay, somebody said the sound is weird. Hold on. Let me make sure I'm using the right mic. Make sure everything's good. Let's double check this. I think, yeah, everything should be just all right. Oh, no. Hold on. No, it's not. Now it is. No, hold on. I had to scuff it. Are
you guys enjoying the stream today?
Wrong mic settings. Okay. Yeah, that happens. Boomered it already on the spot. Gosh, guys. I'm not perfect with everything. I should be. Good to see everybody here. And Doug Diaz gifting 5 Legal Mindset memberships. Thank you so much, Doug.
Yes.
So we're getting ready here as I scuff things. We're getting ready to go into the trial, the last part of it, right, which is the sentencing and the verdict on the 15th. But an important thing to understand about the trial and about everything going on right now is that the actual, what's called the case in chief, what's called in the US, right? You'd say the presentation of evidence, bringing in witnesses, filings that are, taken seriously by the court. That is all done. The closing arguments for the trial were on the 27th of February. So at that point, by the 27th of February, if there was evidence to be considered, if there was something that the sides were both going to debate or get into or, take into consideration, that should have already been considered and submitted to the court. So just understand that at this point where we're at in the trial, we're at the point where the judge is just, okay, I'm going to make my sentencing decision, right? And that's pretty much it. So that's the period where we're at in this trial. Let's see. Chiran Jiveen, I do 3660 said, hey, Hassan will file a defamation lawsuit. No, he will not. I'll answer this when it's off topic, but I was going to make a video on this, and I may make a video on this, on Hassan complaining that people called him an anti-Semite. And the funny thing is that for Hassan, in the case of Hassan Piker, he even said he's not going to do it. He did, musing back and forth. The thing is, he said he's called an anti-Semite, but he mentions a bunch of other people that that are called anti-Semites in the article, right? And it doesn't matter if you're right, left, whatever. There's a reason why that's not something in the US that people take action on, and that's because generally calling people a bigot or calling people anti-Semite or whatever, or a supremacist or anything is not typically defamation in the United States under the current rules, right? So it's not calling someone a criminal because it's not a crime to have those views in the United States. You can have horrible views in the United States and it's not criminal, right? It's only when you take a criminal action on top of that, like if you were to go commit a hate crime, that would be something that is indeed illegal. So yeah, I don't think that's going to happen. Smiller 1689 says, we tried to warn you, Johnny. We tried to warn you about the cabbages coming for you, and you didn't listen. I know. He did not listen at all to any of these warnings. And the other thing too, the funniest thing about today's episode and what I have to tell you guys today is that we actually mentioned several times to do this thing, and he completely ignored that. Absolutely 100% ignored the very, very simple advice to do this thing, which would get him out of the trouble that he's in right now. I'm here for the scuff, said scuff tax. Thank you. Appreciate that. The autistic keyblade wielder says, hey, Andrew, hopefully I'm not late. No, you're here. You're fine in time to wield that keyblade. Maximum Pest Solution gifted 10 Legal Mindset memberships. Thank you very much.
Emotional cabbage.
Also, I have the cabbage plushie link in the description below, and I'll get that in the chat as well. So if you want to get your cabbage plushie, you can pre-order them now. They're very soft. Very soft. Okay. And here, just came back from college, got alive in time. Awesome. Hassan saw the Afro-Man trial and decided not to shoe. Yeah, defamation is not easy. It's not something that's a layup, particularly as a public figure, and he's a public figure. It's not going to be easy to prove malice. So let's get into Somali's too late apology, shall we? So Ramsey Khalid Ismail trial is over, except for the sentencing date. So everything in terms of the presentation of evidence, everything, argument back and forth, that's all done. That's been done since the 27th. The only thing is the judge considering how much time am I giving this guy? That's it. So in terms of apologies, he gave an in-court apology during his closing on February 27th. He then proceeded on March 5th, just days later, actually, to attack Koreans, Korean culture, and, call them, low IQ, dumb, say that they're going to get taken over in World War III. He insulted Koreans after his in-court apology, right? And then, of course, we called them out on this channel, right? Other people covered this. And I pointed out, as I pointed out many times before, that he still hasn't submitted an official apology, right? But now he finally, after all this time, finally submitted what is a letter of apology. Kay's Blue Jeans said, ready for this to be over and eaten by a cabbage plushie. I know. I'm ready for the sentencing as well. One Kay's Wolf for 10 says, Somali, but I was told if I apologize at the beginning, they'd be nicer. Also, Somali, I'm apologizing now. Why aren't they being nicer to me? It's not going to work. So here's what the filing is, because I know I have a lot of doubters out there, whatever else. But here's the official court filings. You can see the previous filings he made regarding evidence and amendment of the indictment. But here on 317, this is Pigoin, which is defendant, right? So defendant, and this is submitting a letter of reflection, right? So a letter of reflection is the official term for an official apology. And that's something that in every single Korean normal court case, you see multiple, usually, filings of letters of reflection, right? Usually at least one, but usually multiple. And during the trial, at the very beginning, they go, we are very sorry. We are so sorry. The Korean system is set up for you to apologize and then take a lighter sentence. So you apologize sincerely. If you did something wrong, maybe you pay them back. You do something to try to compensate for that or make up for that, right? The victim, and make the victim whole. And you apologize sincerely. And you often do that multiple times. So we are going to show Youngman's here. So Youngman is a Korean streamer. He's the one that threw the brick through the window in Korea, and that's why he's in jail. He was part of the protest related to the coup or the Yoon situation, right? So he threw a brick through a window during that, but he also was involved in a deepfake with Johnny. Youngman had a deepfake of, there was Hank and Johnny. Johnny's community made a deepfake of or Johnny himself made a deepfake of Hank and Youngman making out while they're naked, right? So Hank and Youngman are making out while they're naked, right? And Johnny showed that, and Youngman showed that. And they tried to reach an agreement, a settlement, to not pursue charges against each other. Unfortunately for both of them, the prosecutor didn't drop the charges. The prosecutor did not drop the charges against Youngman or against Johnny. So the prosecutor said, I don't give a shit. And I'm going to put some money in the swear jar for that, right? We got a little swear jar action for this. I don't give a damn about your settlement between you two criminals. I don't give a damn about it. We are going to continue to charge you with the deepfake crime. But you can see here, Youngman, his trial started in June. Johnny's trial started in March of last year. March of last year. So Youngman had less time. His trial started in June, ended in January. Johnny's trial started in March, ended in February, right? That's the end of the actual trial. That's the last date of the official trial, right? Before sentencing. Look how many letters he sent. He sent a letter in June, 2 letters in July, 2 letters in August, a letter in October, a letter in November. And then, yes, he did an and one letter after the trial is over. But the reason is you do that is because it shows you're sincere. At that point, he'd sent so many letters that it shows, hey, I am genuinely sincere. I'm really apologetic for this. I've at every point been apologizing for this. I've been consistent about my apology. I haven't taken it back or only done it when I felt the consequences of my actions. I'm doing it to show you I'm 100% genuine and 100% real. Johnny was crickets for all of this time. Not a single letter of reflection, not a single official apology, nothing until afterwards. And at this point, the judge is under no obligation to take in any extra evidence or anything else that's filed. At this point, the judge doesn't have to look at anything else, doesn't have to look at any other letters, doesn't have to do anything else. Of course, people can still write stuff to the court and submit stuff to the court. That is possible. Yes. Right. But the judge is under no obligation to look at it. And at this point, talking to people in Korea that have a lot of experience with this, the judge is not going to factor that in because that should have been something done beforehand. And now we have another submission as well. But before we get to that other submission, let me get some of these chats. Rayobi said RKI is ready to give an apology like Riku Tasumi. Yeah, that's exactly right. Gropey63 said, too little, too late, RKI. You reap what you sow for the horrible things you did in your travels. That's right. He's going to get what he deserves. Razukun 7933 said, legal mindset snack money, no scuff, 2 years too late, a little too late, isn't it? His lawyer never pushed him for it. His lawyer never mentioned it. Now, I want to be very careful what I say about the lawyer. I'm not saying the lawyer is incompetent, but the lawyers in Korea often tell you things a little bit late and often will tell you the bare minimum that you need to know, right? You don't need, technically, you don't need to submit it. You could have a whole trial where you never submit this, right? But it's a cultural thing that is part of the judicial culture and part of the procedure that somebody who's Korean would know about. Hey, I should write an apology letter, right? That would be something normal if you knew the Korean system, you're familiar with the Korean system, that you're going to write a letter of reflection, right? So it's one of those things where I'm not sure whether he just didn't tell him or at some point he was like, okay, you can do it. Or Johnny just heard it from our streams, heard it from me, heard it, from multiple other sources that know about this, that have talked about this and said, hey, yeah, where's your letter of reflection? Because we've talked about this on this channel about a letter of reflection about an official apology. So he could have just listened to my streams and that maybe he picked it up from a former one. I have no idea. Who knows? There cannot be enough cabbages. No, there never can be. A bit of as big of a cultural vampire as he is, I'm surprised he had any reflection at all. Well, I think he realizes he's gonna get consequences now because there's a lot of eyeballs on this. So I think that's why he finally submitted this reflection letter. But understand, there's a lot to counterweight that reflection letter, and then we're gonna get into that a little bit today and more on a future episode as well. EDMG 499 says, Ramsey, and in this apology is where I would put my sincerity if I had any. That's right. Warranty Void gifted 20 Legal Mindset memberships. Thank you so much. Let's see here. One Case Wolf says, I think the judge should take the late letter into account and verbally at least chastise or punish him for not respecting the apologizing culture or be attempting to pull the BS at the end to save himself. Well, I think what the judge will do is will reflect that in his sentencing. So I still think the sentencing is going to be along the lines of the prosecutor's recommendation. So I still believe that he's going to get 2 to 3 years as a sentence. I still think that's very, very viable. I think 1 would be too little, in my opinion. I think 2 is just right with labor and sex offender registration. So once again, I think that sex offender registration and that labor, very, very important. Rayobi said, weird thing throughout all the trial, RK was trying to get the attention of Marco Rubio's Twitter team for a plea deal for breaking the law. Nobody ever paid attention to him. And understand, in the case of Vitaly at least got the attention of the embassy. Nobody out there made any official statement about Johnny Somali, not once. Nobody really cared about him, right? From any side, left, right, whatever. Nobody wanted a piece of this guy, as it should be, right? So here's a new one. This just happened today. We now have his mom getting involved. Now, I've been very strict on this, and I want to kind of focus here about not getting his parents involved, not get people's parents involved, and not going into who they are, what they are, whatever. So I'm only mentioning this information because of this submittal. Otherwise, as you guys know, and if anybody's followed my channel, I try to not involve people that are not directly related. And when they remove themselves from the case, I kind of remove my coverage of them. Sort of like with Hank. Hank made himself more, injected himself more in the case in the beginning. Now Hank is pulled back, so I don't really talk about Hank, right? Because Hank's not involved. So there's no point in talking about Hank. Even though I get a lot of questions about Hank, I leave that alone because he's kind of withdrawn himself. But the mom stepped up here. So this is very interesting. So just today, you see on the 23rd, you have Piguin family. So it's a parent rather. So you have the parents, the parent of the defendant, right? That submitted a petition, essentially. So essentially, this is Johnny, and just to put out the background here, Johnny and his family are estranged. So apparently, they don't talk very much. Right, they had an estranged relationship. His mother did not come see him, and when he was, in having trouble in Japan, his mother and father have not been to any of the criminal hearings. Now, it's possible his mom could be coming there. Yeah, so it's at mom. Yeah, but it's possible his mom could come to the last hearing. That's very possible. But all we know is she submitted a statement to the court. The most likely prediction is this is a plea for leniency and an apology on his behalf. So probably saying, hey, I'm his mom, take pity on him, right? Sentence him leniently, don't throw him in jail forever, right? That is there, right? Yeah, so that's mom, right? Yeah, so it's the defendant's mom, essentially. Lightwolf 86 says Timbaland once saying it's too late to apologize. Yeah, I really hope you're right on how long we'll get. That's my guess, and I'm sticking to it, right? And we'll see whether I'm right or wrong. And I've always been very conservative about my estimates, so I think saying 2 years is actually conservative. He could get 3. We'll see. So this is a little too late. Once again, like the other apology, this comes after the trial is over, after the case in chief is over. So in my judgment here, these apologies, both of these apologies, both the mom and Somali, are too late, right? The trial is already over. It's done. And we had a submission from the Johnny Somali conviction team, the Somali conviction team, the SCT, which I'm going to go over that submission with you guys in a future episode. We're going to put that together. I'm working with the team to put that together and show you guys what we submitted. We submitted our evidence in April of 2025. Let me say that again. April of 2025. This case started March of last year, March of 2025. We got on top of this and submitted within a month because we knew it was important for the prosecutor and judge to have the evidence, right? And understand Johnny Somali's psychology and his tactics back then. So they were informed of that back then, and they went in knowing, oh, this is going to happen. And when we submitted that last year, we predicted that Johnny Somali would apologize. Now, we had no idea it would take him this long to submit an official apology. We thought he would try to submit an official apology at some point, maybe earlier or whatever else, right? But that didn't happen. But we said, hey, this is why you can't take it seriously. And we laid that out. And I'm going to show you guys how we laid that out and the evidence we had on a future video, right? We're going to go through that. But we've already kind of blocked this, right? By saying, hey, here's why his apologies are bullshit. And here's why you can't take it seriously. And here's why he will make Korea a laughingstock if you take it seriously. So I still think all of this stuff is likely, this submittals, both from from Johnny and even from his mom, are likely not to be taken seriously. His apology won't be taken as sincere. I still predict a 2 to 3 year sentence, regardless of any of that. The Juan Ocampo 23 says, Suffer Somali, suffer bish. Kino Casino. Yes, it is indeed. It is indeed great. So that's what I have for you guys today with this. It's once again too little too late from Johnny Somali, and I do not think that's going to get him anywhere. So that's what I have today. Not going to extend this longer than it needs to. Stick around though, catch the fast facts that has the real summarized version here, and I will talk to you guys all later. Peace.
You are coping the ceiling. You just can't believe what you're seeing. Yes, you're coping the ceiling, but your fate is all day, and now you are molding.